Welcome or welcome back to my little creative corner of the internet, and welcome to Junk Journal July of 2025. Let's grab our junk journal and our materials and let's dive into the day 11 and the prompt of stripes. As always, welcome back, and I had a little flip through of my journal to decide which page would be the right for today's prompt. The prompt we're working with is stripes, and I had a few ideas for that one. So, other like yesterday's prompt, this one was quite easy, and I decided to use this page here with the dripped down coffee, which has kind of stripes in itself as well, and use the page behind that for today's prompt. And I really enjoyed the portrait illustration I included in the prompt a few days ago, and I really wanted to incorporate more drawing and illustrations into my junk journal, so kind of get my junk journal a bit to be a sketchbook in a way. We will see how long I can keep that way of working up, but I'm really happy with what came out today and how this page will evolve throughout this little creative session. So I hope you have your snacks and your beverages ready and your junk journal right in front of you to get creative with me. How is your junk journal July going so far? Can't wait to see your beautiful creations for stripes. And for me, I decided to start with a just simple portrait drawing, and then I decided before finishing that off it would be fun to make the background where I draw the portrait on top also include some stripes. So here I'm just getting a few different kind of papers to glue down onto the page to make it a striped page in a way, before continuing with the drawing. Now let's see, first I decided to glue down the pages, and I wasn't a bit hesitant if I should first finish the drawing and then layer the stripes on top, or here I just then decided to first layer the stripes and then draw and finish the portrait on top of the striped paper in a way. And that's exactly one of those pages where I just go with the flow and let my creativity guide me through the process, and it's not, even though I had an idea in the beginning of this junk journal session, I don't have it completely mapped out and planned out when I start this creative journey, and I just go with the flow and figure things out while we're creating. So now I'm just going back in and sketching the portrait on top of everything. And I also decided to make a bit of a striped portrait collage in a way with a different portrait. So you will later see me create that. That's also one of the reasons why this video is kind of a bit of a longer process video, because I just took a lot more time today to create. But also today I had more time, so it's fair. And I would also encourage everyone, you don't have to spend the same amount of time creating each day for these kind of challenges. You can always go with what fits your day on that particular day. So for me, I had a bit more time to create, so I wanted to make a more elaborate page and just experiment with the idea of how I could incorporate the illustration and drawing part into my junk journal. And I'm really happy with how this spread turned out. Now for my part, the first portrait is done, and here I'm just got out some watercolor paper because it is really nice with the more thicker pencil. So the pencil I'm using here is a 2B pencil, and it really is nice to work with on this more cursed kind of paper. It kind of makes a painterly feel. I don't know how to describe it. It's not painting, but I don't know. It looks more like art than on a super smooth paper in a way. And here I decided to draw an illustration with some hair to make it different from the portrait I did draw before that. And sorry for my head bopping in and out of the frame here at the bottom. I really have to kind of figure it out to stay more still when recording, so that my head don't get in the way while I draw. Now that I'm finished with the second portrait, I decided to not cut up the portrait in itself, the original, but I took it to a photocopier and made 2 photocopies of it so that I could play around with having 2 illustrations to cut up into the stripes to work with. So here are both of those photocopies. One is color and one is black and white, so that's why one has a bit of a green tint and the other one is purely gray tones. And here I decided to cut both those portraits in stripes to work with. And I always think it's kind of fun to play around with your drawings and illustrations and just sometimes deconstruct something to make new art. And here I'm just now playing around with the parts that I want to include in the one side of this junk journal page, and then I decided to make a even more collagey checkered board kind of mosaic out of the portrait by cutting those strips up even more. So technically it's not stripes anymore, it's checkered, I don't know, but it's fine, I guess. I feel like this page has enough stripes that it is okay to branch a bit out of the concept. And now here I'm just sorting through which of those little squares has some interesting parts in it to include in the journal, and then I just glue it onto the striped coffee dip paper in a way. So I really wanted to include another page here to make this spread interactive again, and also to include the photo coffee dripped page for this spread, because I thought the lines the coffee made are just perfect for the striped theme, so it would be sad to only use the other side beside that. So here I'm just using this one to make a bit of another deconstructed portrait here, and then later I will flip over the page to also add my typical label for the day and make it kind of like the title page for today's striped page in a way. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm a bit rambly if I explain my process here, but I don't know. It's just sometimes the creative process is random in a way, I guess, and that's a bit difficult then to get into words or describe. Here I just did glue down those squares and then decided to add the label on the front side of the striped page where the coffee stripes are more visible in a way, and make this page a 3 pages kind of prompt. And to be honest, I'm really happy with how this spread turned out. So I'm really happy with how the Junk Journal Challenge is coming along so far, and I feel like all the time I put into the prompts really shows off. So it's kind of, I'm really happy with how this is coming along so far, and I can't wait to now finally enjoy summer and have more time for creative things and just enjoy making stuff. What are your creative summer plans? Do you have any more creative plans besides the Junk Journal July challenge? If you do, let me know in the comments down below. I really want to get back into photography and take my camera with me more, and also just hopefully fill up a sketchbook, and we will see. I also really want to just start a new sketchbook and a new journal very soon, but I would really want to first complete the Junk Journal July challenge and then get into the new book. So I don't know, is it only me, or do you also have the urge to always start a new sketchbook and journal while still working on the other one? I don't know, I really love making journals, I guess. I hope you enjoyed this creative session, and thanks so much for watching. If you did, a thumbs up would make me really happy, and if you want to join me on this creative adventure and many more creative adventures to come, hit the subscribe button down below. See you very soon. Happy creating!